Okay, I think this is it. First episode of MLS Cafe, a thing we've been waiting to do for a really long time, and we're really happy that we have the privilege of putting out this first episode today.
Dude, I'm so excited, man, for this new series, this new talk show, you can call it.
And it brings me back to another thing is a while ago when we first started Bench Kings, back when it was Binge Bar, actually, we had another podcast called Two Shots of Sauce. And just like Two Shots of Sauce, this will double as both a podcast and a video to stay on the Bench Kings YouTube channel. It's going to cover everything in Major League Soccer. We have a lot of guests planned. We have a lot of interviews planned with other people in the community, and we have a whole bunch of segments that we are going to be getting into today. So everyone is new here because this is the first time we are doing this. Stay tuned. We have a lot of great things planned for upcoming episodes.
And because everyone's new, I guess we should do a little rundown real quick of what segments we're doing, what different things we're doing, because there is a lot of stuff that we have to break through. The first, that being Spilt The Beans, followed by Mocha Madness, which right now you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
They just sound like awesome plays. Yeah. But they all have a very good meaning.
They do. Then Americano Espreso, which is basically the U.S. men's national team players, followed by the first guest, which again, in the title of this video, Andres Jasson.
NYCFC Homegrown.
Exactly.
Very happy to be doing that today. Having him on was a bunch of fun. All these interviews are pre-recorded. And for those listening to this or either watching this in another time other than right now, this is shot all live.
Yes, it is. And followed by that, Major Stokeage, Major Disappointment, which is also a series. And then we have the next guest, which is BtwnCleanSheets, Cheyenne, which he's on Instagram, Twitter, everything, a DC United fan. And then followed by MLS Fantasy, and then questions, which again, we won't be able to answer any of your questions right now, as obviously we have to get through all of this. But at the end, we will. So I guess without further ado, should we go right into Spill the Beans?
Exactly. I think the first thing we should do right now is jump right into Spill the Beans. Spill the Beans is going to cover a lot, so we're going to try to go through each one of these segments and topics in a timely fashion, because that last interview we have with BtwnCleanSheets,
that was a long one, man.
Was a very long one. She was great to have on us, so we're really looking forward to more.
Let's do it.
Who spilled the beans?
So for me, there's a couple of things that spilt the beans.
There's a lot of things to be said here.
There's a lot of controversial things. Again, this will be for the games that were played last weekend, not this weekend, as obviously the games haven't happened. The first controversial thing was Bob Bradley, man.
Yes. Subbing out Carlos Vela when he was not even remotely injured? I mean, the dude basically stubbed his toe, and Bob Bradley was like, get the hell out.
Like, the thing is this, I admire the audacity of Bob Bradley making a decision like that, putting out the best player, not only on the team, but in the whole entire league. So I admire that, but again, horrible decision. He did say it was a mistake, so it is good that Bob Bradley did owe up to it, but still, he can't be doing that to Carlos Vela.
And that's one of the biggest things I take away. I mean, LAFC did win that game against the first game ever played against Austin FC. And Austin, in my opinion, did play very well for their first game. They do have our boy. If you guys don't know, we are New York City Football Club fans.
We bleed the powder blue.
They have our captain, Alexander Ring, and they have a lot of other players that we had here formerly on New York, now present on Austin. And I think Austin played a good game, but LAFC just definitely ran that one home, and they were down half their team. I mean, Rossi wasn't in. Carlos Vela was subbed out. I mean, it was one player after another, and Bob Bradley, as we always say, is one of the best coaches in the game. So the fact that he, he's a pretty hot-headed guy too, very set in his ways, to come out after the game and said, hey, I made a mistake subbing him out, I think that was incredible. A huge story from last week.
It was definitely a mistake, but for him to still get the dub, still get the win, they got a 2-0 win against Austin, was really a miracle. So I gotta, applaud him for that. Again, I don't have the applaud effect, but I gotta applaud him for that, the audacity of just doing that. And that leads us to the second Who Spilt the Beans, bro.
Exactly. And I'll take this one because, sorry to interrupt you, but this is one that I definitely think we should be making content about, like a conspiracy theory or something. Miami's rigged game against the LA Galaxy.
Don't even get me started about that, man.
Where is there to start? I mean, as you guys know, LA Galaxy, Inter Miami, they faced last week, and what a strange game that was. A lot of weird opportunities and weird things were going on behind the scenes there, and LA Galaxy somehow, some way was able to pull through with a win there.
There's just so much controversial things. I think David Beckham might be paying somebody, paying the ref, some bribery, maybe some blackmail. Because first off, Gonzalo Higuain, objectively offside by at least a couple inches. I would say, 6 or 7.
Clearly, and it didn't even go to VAR.
Yeah, if that was England, that would definitely not be a goal. And the second thing, Rodolfo Pizarro, he earns a penalty kick where, if anything, he actually, penalized the LA Galaxy player.
Yeah.
So 2 controversial plays. And then the third crazy thing was Chicharito, where on Sasha Collection's third goal, Chicharito was, onside, but I liked how the replay was showing that he might have been offsides. So there's just so much stuff happening in that game.
No, there was. And that's the thing, like, when he finally does score, first of all, Who would have thought he was going to score the game, let alone 2 goals? I mean, what a comeback season for the LA Galaxy, native here.
That's like 12 fantasy points right there for Chicharito.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Anybody that had him on their fantasy team is definitely walking away with some big bucks this week.
And I'm pretty sure you said he was going to be, or it might have been me actually, that he was going to be a huge flop this season.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go back-to-back in the flopping races.
And he's definitely not to. Alexander Pato's going to be flopping all the way.
Yeah,
all the way to the bank.
And we'll be getting into Pato a little bit later into the stream because, I mean, if you want to talk about flop, talk about the fish out of water, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, what an absolute
Talk about an
train wreck
orca,
he is.
dude. Talk about a dolphin disguised as an orca,
But that's the thing. Even when Chico scored, they were looking to see if that was offsides when it was clearly not offsides. And
Yeah,
they
it was
didn't even
like-
check when it was Higuain's.
Yeah, it was like the man in the booth was like, how can we make this, good goal by Sasha Kljestan somehow not count as a goal?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous.
In my opinion, it should have been at least 3-0, 3-1 that game. But
Yeah, I'm happy that we're able to walk away with a win. And, I mean, David Beckham had to be pissed about that one. I mean, I literally looked like the refs were doing everything to make that team lose the game.
Exactly, dude.
And they pulled through and they won. So, in my opinion, that was the hottest game this weekend. Well, last weekend at this point.
That was definitely for us the game of the week. And with that, should we go into the Mocha Madness plays of the week?
Yeah, I think with that being said, time to hit that Mocha Madness.
Let's get right into it.
Mocha Madness Plays of the Week.
So there was a lot of good plays
There was
last
a ton
weekend.
of great plays this last week.
Too many, you could say. We actually had a hard time picking what plays we were going to use for the
We
play of
narrowed
the
it
week.
down to the top 2. I'll let you go first because I know there's one that you were very fond of.
For me, it's got to be Randall Leal. His stunner right here. Let me just get it up real quick. Again, this is audio and video. So if you're watching this on audio, there will be a clip that shows up right now. Let me get it up. Look at this stunner right here, dude. I'm still not sure if this was a cross, a shot, or a pass, but they all count the same. So
I mean, it
look
was
at that
absolutely
beauty.
insane. I mean, the way that shot was directed in has to be maybe nominated right now for goal of the year. I mean, that was an absolute incredible goal. The finish on that was unmatched, and I think they're going to have a strong season ahead of them, if I'm being honest. I know in our predictions that we said, we kind of had them finishing, I believe, middle of the pack, but after looking at that goal, I mean, I don't know, my whole view on that team changed.
And what's crazy is that wasn't even goal of the week, man. There were so many good goals. Your play of the week actually was goal of the week. Should we head into that right now?
Paulo, let's talk about a goal. João Paulo's stunner against Minnesota was absolutely incredible. We were just talking about goal of the year. I mean, talk about player of the year here after that goal. I mean, the way he is able to capitalize on that was such a game-changing goal. Absolutely rocks my dome.
The juggle, the finesse, the finish, dude, everything was perfect. It was like in a movie. It was like one of those like teen movies where
Exactly. Something you would see on
dude-
Disney Channel in like 2003 where they're like on roller skates and it's like the class bully is getting like stomped on by like the nerd. That's the kind of vibes I got from that goal.
Yeah, like She's the Man. You ever watched that movie? Where,
Yes, exactly.
It reminds me of something from that. Like a crazy play that you would see in that movie, but it actually happened in real life.
No, it was incredible. Shaking and baking, man.
Like
I
we're
mean,
gonna
what
be
a
telling
goal
our
that
grandkids
was.
about that.
After those 2 goals to start off the season, what kind of tone does that set, you see, for going into the season for both of those clubs?
It sets a high tone for sure. I feel like one of the things with all the players is like it was agreed upon that only bangers were going to be scored last weekend. Every single goal was a banger except a couple. Look at Wondolowski. He missed a sitter, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he did it on purpose because it wasn't going to be a banger. So
Exactly, yeah.
It always gets you thinking, but this does set a good tone, a good attitude going forward with these crazy goals, man.
Especially for a team like the Seattle Sounders, they lost some notable names this past offseason. So coming into the season and having a game like that stunner of a goal really sets the tone of saying, hey, maybe we're not as strong as we were, but this is what we have in our arsenal and we are prepared to use it.
Would you say it deserves a Mocha Splash?
I think that is a major Mocha splash.
Let me hit that Mocha Splash, ladies and gentlemen.
Mocha Splash.
And once again, if you guys are listening to this in audio form, it would make a whole lot more sense if you were watching that.
Yeah, I was thinking about the people in audio form right now, just like a Mocha Splash popping out of nowhere. Like, yo, what was that? Did you just hear that?
Yeah, exactly. Especially they're hooked up to Bluetooth. That's all they hear is Mocha Splash.
Exactly. And I'm trying to think. There was one other play, too, that I liked a lot. But again, one for me, one for you. But let's just add a third real quick. Paul
course.
Marie, San Jose, scores that third goal in that game. Again, they couldn't win that game. But that was just a good tone, again, to start the season, the first game of the season. So.
And that's the thing. I saw so many fans in comment sections everywhere complaining that the opening game was between those 2 clubs. And I thought it was one of the most exciting games of the weekend.
It was.
Who would have thought that was going to be the outcome? Houston looked beautiful. Everyone has them down as being the worst team in Texas, behind Austin, which is this is their first season, and also behind FC Dallas. I understand the FC Dallas because they are a beautiful team. Once again, we'll be getting into FC Dallas and our boy Paxton Pamikol as this goes on. But until we get there, Houston, really dynamite.
Surprised me, dude. A lot of underdogs won. And the thing is, too, a lot of home teams won as well. I feel like a lot of people underestimate, how much of an impact it makes when you're playing at home. And we saw it this weekend. I'm pretty sure one team on the road won, Sporting Kansas City. So it makes a giant impact actually playing at home. And I can't wait for, again, we're NYCFC fans. We're playing later today at home at Yankee Stadium, not the best stadium, but
not
still.
even a home, but that's home to us, sadly. So hopefully we can turn something out there. I mean, the home field advantage, hopefully that goes into week 2, as we're saying, because that's where we are playing today. But yeah, I think every team other than one last week won the game if they were on home field. I believe it's Sporting Kansas City that beat the trend, broke the curse.
Even like just looking at, let's go through history. If you're fighting a war, bro, if you're on home soil, odds are you're going to win. Look at the British and the America, They came over on our soil, 13 colonies, and we absolutely smacked them. So
I was going to say D-Day, but that wasn't on our soil.
That was on Normandy, bro. I mean, that's the exception to the rule.
That was like the Sporting... D-Day was basically the Sporting Kansas City of, the war.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Moving on, I believe that's everything we have for the Mocha Madness Plays of the Week. Now we have our favorite segment that we're looking forward to doing, which is the Americano Espresso.
Americano Espresso.
So
okay,
basically,
now take this.
Just this segment again, just U.S. players. They don't have to be in MLS, but most of them are. We have 2 big players this week. The first of them being, you guys can probably guess it right now, Daryl DK, man. Did you see that absolute bicycle that he scored?
I mean, people were comparing him to Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi after that goal, which is absolutely insane. But hey, I was one of them. It was a bicycle goal, like you said.
Or would you call it more of like a tricycle?
Beauty. Maybe a tricycle, but still has his training wheels on.
Because I was going to say, it was more like a slower movement bicycle, so either a tricycle, maybe even a unicycle too,
Maybe a unicycle. I like the unicycle. I mean, he kicked it with one foot, so I guess that's a one-wheel kind of kick.
It is, dude. He was definitely riding that baby all the way home into the goal, so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a beauty, and once again, he's not in Major League Soccer. This is Americano Espresso. But with that being said, there are certain players that we will be going over that aren't necessarily in the MLS for this. With that being said, Daryl DK's goal, in my opinion, wow, phenomenal. I mean, what kind of future does this guy have ahead of him?
And not even just a goal. He's been scoring every single week. He has 9 goals in 16 matches for Barnsley this season. He's absolutely tearing it up. And then around 2 months ago, he scored another banger of a rocket to the near post. He's been killing it ever since he made the move. Now, the question is, do you think he's going to go back to Orlando City? Or do you think Barnsley's going to buy him out? Because they want like $20 million for him.
I mean, buying him out is going to be absolutely insane. I'm having a hard time picturing that. What do you think?
It's a lot of money to buy him out, but I feel like if Barnsley actually wants to do something, they're going to have to buy him because he's obviously their best player. Before Daryl DK was in, they were like in 13th place. Now they're in like the top 6. Yeah. So Daryl DK is the reason why they're doing so good right now.
I agree 100%. I mean, you couldn't have said it better yourself.
He's an absolute animal.
He has been. I mean, there's so many great United States-born players right now. And as we always say, before we get into this next guy, this next player phenomenon, before we get to him, we always say this: American players in the United States do not get the credit they deserve in the eyes of football and soccer fans across the globe. Exactly. I mean, it's disgusting. You would think after David Beckham and everything, there'd be a little more, leniency, but there hasn't been. Even with the rise of the MLS right now, and even the USL and other leagues here in the States growing, and the talent that's being produced here on our home soil, they still turn a blind eye. It's all about the Europeans.
We still don't get the respect we deserve. We saw our Christian Pulisic with Frank Lampard, where Frank wouldn't really play him. Now Tuchel's starting to play him, and Christian Pulisic's one of the best players on the team, which we all knew that to begin with. And again, we talked about this earlier with Alexander Pato. Now that he's injured, the biggest flop of the year so far, they're going to need DK Orlando.
Yes.
They're going to really need him this season. If they do, Orlando can go far, dude. They can actually reach the MLS Cup, for all I know.
See, and here's the thing. As an NYCFC fan, I really hope not. But just to see them actually make some, turn out like that in the league would be something that I think people are going to be talking about for a long time.
You know who else people are talking about right now?
And this brings us into our second guy.
Caden Clark, man. Did you see that absolute... Again, a banger, bro.
Another banger. So many great goals were scored. And Caden Clark's is one of my favorites. Even though he's on the opposing team over there in the New Jersey Red Bulls club. What a goal that was. I'm so happy for him because, once again, he is a United States native. And we were very stunned by that stunner of a goal that he was able to set home.
Dude, he Marvin the Martian that thing. He hit that right into the corner, an absolute rocket. Again, beautiful finesse and volley. And if Red Bulls wants to go far, Caden Clark's going to have a big season, which I think he will. Right now he's playing in the middle as a number 10. I really do like that. I like him better in the middle than on the wings. And I feel like he's going to be in a different jersey next season, in a Red Bull Leipzig jersey. So,
Really don't think he's going to be staying in Major League Soccer.
well, the thing is, too, with his contract, I'm pretty sure there is a clause when he turns 18 that he's going to be going to Red Bull Leipzig. So
Okay.
I think it's basically all but done, just that he has to put pen to paper, and that's it.
And I'm all about pounding the pen to paper for these young players and just seeing them really take and set sail in a greater league. Nothing against the MLS, but we all know Caden Clark, to benefit your career, you're probably going to be going abroad sometime soon, like you're saying. But with that being said, I just don't want to lose a name like that here in Major League Soccer. It's huge. But there's always talk about us landing a big name like Messi or Ronaldo in future seasons, which that kind of saves me there, kind of redeems it and gets me excited for what's to come.
It's kind of like, too, it's you ever hear the expression, you let somebody, you let them go?
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Caden Clark,
I don't want to let him go. I don't know how much I love him then because I'm really not prepared to let him go.
Gotta let him go, bro.
I might have to let him go.
You might shed a couple tears, but you gotta let him go every once in a while.
Yeah, I'll be shedding buckets at that point, bro.
Because the thing is this, if you're really that good, Major League Soccer is good, but you're not going to be staying here forever.
Exactly. And that's something that, here's the thing. The sad thing is with Major League Soccer, if you are one of the best, you're not playing in Major League Soccer. And that's just a sad reality. And maybe one day, in years and years and years from now, that will change. But as of right now, if you're going out there and you're really showing like, wow, this guy is unlike any other guy on the field, that's probably the last game you're going to see him on the field.
Exactly, yeah.
If you really stand out too much, you're gone.
Yeah, it's like you kind of want your players, like we're NYCFC fans, obviously. Like with James Sands, we want him to do great,
Yeah.
But how great do you want him to be? Because if he plays too great, he's going to be gone, next week.
That's our thing. Like I just ordered my Tinnerholm jersey for NYCFC. Those beautiful powder blue kits. I'm obsessed with them. Have the logos engraved. We're actually going to be talking about that a little bit on the interview coming up. Give you a little sneak peek. But yeah, I'm so afraid. Like I finally bought a New York City jersey. Now what's this guy going to leave in like next week? I'm terrified.
Dude, that's like me, dude. I have like a curse. Every single jersey I buy, I bought Jack Harrison, Quadro Poku when he was on the team. I love Poku.
Oh wow, I forgot about him.
Yeah, dude. Poku power. But every single jersey I bought, they left the next season. So
I'm terrified. And it's okay. It's because, like, yeah, you can still wear the jersey. Like, nothing against the player. Like, I'm not mad he's leaving. But the only thing that bothers me and, like, it just scares me shitless is because I got to buy a new jersey. You know what I mean?
Keeps you up at night?
Yeah, it keeps me up at night. Like, I wake up, I have these dreams. They're like romance novels, but it just always has, like, a bittersweet ending.
Just Tinderboom going to the Red Bulls?
Oh, dude, imagine that.
Dude, that'd be a nightmare, man.
When I saw we traded Alexander Ring, there was like a lot of spam accounts and stuff making things up saying he went to the Red Bulls or Orlando, and like I almost died, man.
I would
because I still root for Ring.
Oh yeah, me as well.
I miss him so much. I was actually thinking about getting an Austin kit, but money. So.
Yeah, money's always a concern.
I bought a lot of hats, though. I'll say that. I got a lot of Colorado Rapids and New York City hats.
Exactly. Now,
they're pretty fresh.
Should we go to the first interview with Andres Jasson?
I think we will. We're about 32 minutes in right now. A little less because we had that intro. But with that being said, here we have an interview with Andres Jasson, a New York City Football Club homegrown. We were so happy to have him on. He's the first guest we have on. And before we get into this interview, one thing that I do want to say is we have a couple really solid names lined up. We have some great people in the community, some really great people on the field lined up, but I'm really happy that this was our first guest because he was just so awesome and just a really nice guy, and really happy to have him on the team.
He was so chill, great guy. He answered the questions very thoroughly as well, and I guess let's go right into it.
Yes, let's do that. We see in the comments again, because if you guys are listening to this, maybe we can cut it out for that. But we do see in our live chat, the reason we do this live, a lot of people are saying they cannot hear the audio
for the interview.
That is very strange. We have a lot of programs running right now, so stand with us. Hopefully we can fix this. And if you guys are listening to this in the podcast form, hopefully you will not have this problem. Give us 1 second. This is, again, episode number 1.
Yeah, that's very interesting, too, because we see it coming up. So let's just check that real quick. Let's see.
Yep.
Interview. Yeah, again, with all technology, it's getting very complicated with certain things. So.
Yeah, we have a lot of programs running here. So in the meanwhile, I'll kind of just talk as you're setting this up on some of my favorite moments from this past weekend and what I hope to see in the upcoming season for a team like New York City. Wow, they're in such a strange predicament right now where you don't really know what they are trying to accomplish this upcoming season. I mean, you got the coach, and even he said he's not too confident in the talent we have on this team right now. We did make some brilliant moves and bring in some decent players, but no player really, in my eyes, is going to be the player that really sends us home and does something big this season for New York City. I mean, starting off, they just seemed very misguided for me after losing that their captain in Alexander Ring, and I keep bringing them up, and I just think that trading him was a mistake. And now we have all this money, hopefully in the summer transfer window, we will be bringing somebody big in. But moving on to another New York team is the Red Bulls right now. This season, again, they're another team that's just in a bit of a strange spot. And as we were saying, Caden Clark is definitely going to take this team far. But the Red Bulls just haven't looked the same to me in the past couple of seasons. Right now, as we're still trying to get this interview up, sorry guys, going into this season, if I were to pick a cup winner straight from the bat, it has to be the Columbus Crew. And the reason I'm picking the Crew to be the team to do it all is notably because of one thing. One major statistic that I would really like to knock home right now is last year the Columbus Crew won that cup. Correct?
Exactly.
Now here's the thing. They win the cup. As a team that wasn't supposed to win the cup. What a miracle run it was there in Columbus. Saved the Crew, really capitalized for their fans there and sent it home. And now here they are the following season looking like they're going back-to-back because they capitalize on that one thing. We were a good team that wasn't supposed to win it. Now let's bring in all these new names to make sure we win it again. They're a better team than they were last year on all fronts, and I think they're going to be the team to do it again this season.
I think just real quick, I think the only thing I can fix is actually going into it. So I think I'm going to have to go into the interview. You guys might not hear in the beginning. I'm going to try to fix it. And definitely write in the chat if you guys can fix it, because for some reason we can hear it in our headphones. Mm-hmm. Again, this is just the first episode, so I'm going to have to go in the beginning. You might not hear it, but I'm going to try to fix it as it's going on. So here we go.
Yeah,
let's
go
back
again,
in.
Sorry about that. We'll have that fixed for the podcast form.
Major Stokeage.
Oh, it's not working. Okay, boys.
All right, so once again, this is the first episode of this. We have a lot of programs being run. We're not too sure why that interview cannot be heard. We will be sure to add this in at some point, maybe as a separate video or something. But again, first time running these new systems, so there's going to be some hiccups along the way. Everything will be fixed by the next episode. With this being said, I guess we'll move into our next segment before maybe we can save that interview. But with that being said, here we go. Major Stokeage.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my dome around why it wasn't working. But again, let's go right into Major Stokeage. Mm-hmm. There's going to be 3 tiers, as you guys can see on the right-hand side: Stoked, Major Stokeage, and Ultimate Stokeage.
Yeah.
So basically 3 plays or things that happened last weekend that we really liked. Should we go to the level 1?
Yeah, I think the first thing to talk about is that Paxton Pamicole substitution. So happy about that, to finally see that happening, to hit that Stoke level 1 just for casual stoked.
Me too, bro. Like, he didn't really do too much when he came onto the field, Paxton Pomykal, but he's been out for like a year. He had a season-ending injury last season. He went for, I think we actually have the exact injury name. Yeah, he went for an arthroscopic labium repair and correction of cam impingement. You know, obviously I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty gnarly, man.
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad if I'm being honest, which brings us to level 2.
Major Stokeage.
Yeah, major Stokeage indeed. It was Montreal and the Toronto game.
Yes, and then Houston also upsetting. 2 upsets.
Yeah.
You know, Houston and Montreal both upsetting Toronto and San Jose.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely insane. Yeah, did you study with that too? Because for
I
some
did.
reason my mind couldn't process that
I was
either.
thinking for a second that Montreal played Houston because
that's how it's written down there. It confused me too. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that was getting to me. I mean, talk about 2 major upsets there to qualify for this major Stokeage. I mean, who would have thought those were going to be your victors there? I mean, Vegas betting odds were like positive 500 to like negative 1,000 for these games.
I wouldn't have thought it, man. Again, you know, Houston was only playing with one real center back, Tim Parker, and they had Boniek Garcia playing center back as well. He's like, what is he now, like 38 years old, a living fossil?
I mean, yeah, he's getting up there, and I think it was just absolutely insane that Montreal was able to win that game. I believe the final score was 4-2, and Toronto just looked absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, looking at Toronto, they were down, obviously, Pozuelo and a couple other notable names there on Toronto. But, I mean, Montreal just going into it, even when we were looking at the rosters, knowing about these injuries for Toronto, we still had Toronto winning it because Montreal's roster just doesn't really look all too strong to me. I mean, of course, they got like Wanyama. But other than that, I mean, the team, yeah, they have some notable names, but nothing really to make an indent in a league like that. And after absolutely pulling off that win was phenomenal, in my opinion.
The thing is, too, coming to the season with Montreal, you know, they don't have their old coach, Thierry Henry. He's out. He quit. He went hitchhiking somewhere else. So now they have their assistant coach as their coach for Montreal, and they still pulled out with a dub. And they're not even playing in their home stadium. They're playing at Inter Miami Stadium, which seemed like it worked somehow. You know, it seemed like it was a home field advantage as they did stomp Toronto 4-2. And then again, Houston upsetting San Jose 2-1. We did brush over that earlier, but that was a huge upset as well.
Yeah.
Should we head into level 3?
Yeah, level 3 was a good one. It was the DC United win over New York City. And here's the thing, as a New York City fan, you know it must have been pretty good for us to have it capping out.
Exactly, dude. DC United, again, it hurts me to say, but that was ultimate Stokeage right there. Their new coach, again, new coaches is a new theme as well, as Montreal had a new coach. And now DC United has a new coach in Lasada. And Lasada looks like he's working wonders in there. You know, there's a new environment really in DC where they want to attack. They really want to go forward. And I respect that from Lasada.
No,
And
I agree.
again-
it was a tough game, though, for New York. As I was saying, we just looked very misguided now without the loss of our captain.
At least we were treated to 2 absolute bangers of goals from DC United with Hans Ike and Knaus. So, beautiful job. And what do you think of Heinz Ike? You think that's a very good acquisition for DC?
Oh, of course, for DC United, this is a player that is going to get DC going this season. I mean, he was phenomenal that first game. Of course, I didn't like his hit on Maxi from NYCFC. But other than that, I mean, being completely unbiased for this, wow, Heinz Ike. What a game he was able to capitalize for the team.
And especially with Birnbaum injured, you know, he's one of your best center backs.
Yeah.
You're going to have to now play Heinz Ike and Brilliant in the back, which, again, Brilliant, we do have first-hand experience as he was on NYCFC a couple years ago. So he's not the best player to have, but with Heinz Ike next to him, that makes a pretty good duo, I feel, for DC United.
Yeah, I think DC United has made a couple of strong grabs this offseason, and they're really going to be coming into the season looking like a team that wants to go deep. I don't know how deep they're going to go, but they look committed, and they look determined to make some noise.
They do look very determined this season, I feel.
I really like their play. I mean, I just wish it wasn't against us, but other than that, I would like to nod my head to them.
Now, should we go on the flip side of things, the other side of the coin?
Yes, which is major disappointment. The complete
Major disappointment.
Okay, there was a lot of disappointing things, I feel like, last weekend.
Yeah, I'll take the first one just for your level 1 disappointment. RSL, Real Salt Lake, doing the most unreal thing and not playing opening weekend. I think they were the only team to not play in the opening weekend, which is absolutely bonkers, man.
Yeah, it was definitely bonkers, bro. You know, RSL, I feel like even the league forgot about them, too. They didn't even play opening weekend. Now they have to play Portland, in Portland, at Providence Park.
Which is the nicest stadium in the league, in our opinion.
And it's probably one of the hardest environments to get a win, too. So it's not looking too good for RSL. Again, they got Bobby Wood, but Bobby Wood's not enough for you guys to win.
It's not enough wood to build any kind of formidable structure to go deep this season.
Yeah,
to even do something this season.
We always say play hard, stay hard, but they're looking soft right now.
Yeah, looking soft
on and off
as
the
hell.
pitch.
I mean, they're not looking good at all, and it's a shame to say because with teams like Vancouver and Real Salt Lake, there's not really any kind of sense of guidance to doing anything this season. I mean, they're two of the most irrelevant teams, being honest. And I'm not saying anything wrong. It's just it is what it is. But Vancouver actually did have a good game, beating Portland 1-0, and that was incredible. I think everybody was shocked by that because Vancouver has definitely just been plagued with mediocrity since joining the league, I believe, in 2011. So I was happy to see them get the win. But yeah, looking at this level 2 disappointment, level 1 rather, wow.
Yeah, dude. Again, with Vancouver, that could have even been a major Stokeage. Lucas Cavallini with an absolute beauty of a go with his head, off the corner
kick.
kick.
100%, man.
And now that leads us to the level 2 major disappointment.
I believe that was that game, right?
It was the
that awful game, the most hyped up game of the weekend.
It was the Philly versus Columbus game. The reason this was a disappointment was because of how goddamn boring it was. Okay, 0-0 scoreline. Again, the Supporters Shield winners versus the MLS Cup winners. You would think there'd be a lot of goals, but there was none. It was very boring. It was a stalemate. Both tendies did play well, Andre Blake and Eli Room, but still, we wanted to see action and we didn't get it.
Yeah,
so that's
very
why
upsetting. And as you were saying, it's a Supporter Shield going up against the former Cup champs. And we were all expecting one hell of a game. And it was just, you were just like waiting. It was a tease the entire game.
That was the game you're looking most forward to, I believe.
I feel like everybody was. I think it was the most hyped up and advertised game from that weekend, and it completely just flopped.
It was on national television too.
I know. That's a bad look for the MLS. They finally get a game up there, and that's what happens.
That's a horrible look, especially for fantasy as well. I'm pretty sure there was like 30% of people that had Zelarayan, and he only got 5 points. But again, we will be talking about MLS Fantasy later in the evening. Now, should we go to the third major disappointment and the last disappointment of the evening?
Okay, and that was, of course, the biggest fish out of the water.
Alexander Pato.
Yeah.
Just, what can we say about him, dude? He missed 2 clear-cut chances, and to top it off, put the cherry on the cake, or should I say the icing on the cake. He got injured, man, and he's going to be out for the foreseeable future.
I know.
Thank God he doesn't need surgery on whatever it is. I think it was like his knee area, so he doesn't need surgery. But still, he's supposed to be your main man up top. It was, you were taking a risk with him. But to miss 2 chances and get injured, that's got to be the biggest disappointment of the week.
I think so, too. That's not a good look going into the season or just, in the later stages of your career here, coming out like that. It's not something you want to be doing.
Yeah, he's definitely flopping hard, dude. And I feel like, too, it's fitting, too, because Vander Water is going to be his replacement. So
sure, you want to talk about fish out of the water? Here you go.
Vander Water is definitely going to be his replacement, I feel. But again, Vander Water, if he's your replacement, he's not supposed to be a starting guy. He's brand new to that team. So you're putting him in a very precarious situation here. And I don't know how Orlando's going to do.
Yeah, very stressful.
It is a very stressful time.
With that being said, we're going to try to get the second interview up right now. Hopefully we don't have any of these concerns as we did with the first one, not having the audio. So we're going to try that again. Once again, we're running a new system here. So we're going to be doing everything we can do to get this up and running.
Yeah, tell us if you guys can hear this. So on this one, you guys can hear us in the beginning. So right now you guys can hear us. Right now there is no audio, but the audio should be coming up.
Right about now.
Yes, let's see.
Okay, we are now being joined with Shy.
Do you guys hear that?
BtwnCleanSheets. She is a DC United supporter and fan. You can find her just about everywhere. And we were actually supposed to have her on during opening weekend before that NYCFC and DC United game. But things are crazy. Some things come up. So we're happy now finally sitting down exactly a week later, I believe, to be doing this. So Cheyenne, how you doing? Welcome to MLS Cafe.
I am doing really well, and I just wanted to build the momentum and the excitement. So I guess I made you guys wait a little longer.
It definitely worked out. That opening weekend was just filled with so many great games. But before we even get to the games, unless there's anything you want to add in here.
No.
All right. So before we do get to these games of what we saw this last weekend and going forward into this season, one thing I'm curious about, and I know we were talking about this before, is where did you come up with the name BtwnCleanSheets? Because it took us forever to come up with BenchKings, and we're still not even sure if that's a good name or not.
I am really glad you asked, because a lot of people who don't know much about soccer or football always find it such a strange name. So I decided when I was going to start doing this part-time. By the way, I have a full-time job and a life that I escaped from to do BtwnCleanSheets. But the idea was that my uploading schedule was not going to be immediate reactions to games on the weekends, et cetera. And I thought, well, the plan is to do it between games, probably on Wednesdays in the middle of the week when I could get around to it. And that's where the between part came from. But I thought between what? Between games. The Between Two Ferns, Zach Galifianakis show kind of rolls off the tongue. And though I'm not attempting to be that funny, it felt like Between Clean Sheets made sense. And I assume that everyone listening and watching knows what a clean sheet is. But in case they don't, it's when a goalie or a keeper allows no goals. I did not grow up as a keeper. In fact, I grew up playing attacking mid and was a striker in college. So I would not enjoy a clean sheet if I were playing against somebody. But if my team had a clean sheet, my goalie saved us from having points scored against us, then I would be okay with that.
I'll tell you this, we're a big fan of the name, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a great name. And it is, like you said, it's different. It's not something that everybody has. It's not like some generic name, like, let's talk about this. It's a good name. Yeah, it's really original.
Exactly.
And that brings me to my next question. You came up with the name Between Clean Sheets. How long have you been a DC United supporter? And what really was it that made you choose that as your team to root for and cheer for?
Yes, another great question. Believe it or not, I have lived in DC for 7 years. And when I first moved here out of college, I realized, having gone to a women's college and having no college football affiliation, my family didn't really watch NFL growing up. I never got the chance to have a sport that I really enjoyed watching being so close to me. Mm-hmm. And RFK at that point was maybe a mile down the road. And so walking to games and being able to see even the men's national team play there occasionally, being able to see that and have it right in my backyard, but also knowing that a lot of the guys that came to play, regardless if it was DC United or any other MLS team, I knew what colleges that they went to. It all felt really accessible, really tangible, really close to
really
home.
It sounds like that.
Right. And it kind of connected me in ways that Premier League, any other European or global league doesn't. So once I realized that tickets were so cheap, and once I realized that season tickets are so cheap, I was like, go, get me some tickets. I'll take it. I'll go. So I actually, 2013 was a bad year for DC United. So I wasn't all in yet, but on and off since 2014, I've been a season ticket member. The only time I wasn't was when I moved to Kansas City to work for a firm out there during the 2018 election cycle. But other than that, DC all the way.
Yeah, I mean, DC is a great place to be. I actually went to DC, I think only once or maybe twice, but the last time I went was like 2 years ago. And it was before COVID and everything came, but everything was already shut down anyway for like another reason. I don't know if it was a protest or a march for something, but I remember going all the way down to DC for actually watching the Capitals game. It was hockey, but everything was shut down. But I mean, DC, just like the people and everything, like I really did like DC. I was only there for a couple of days though.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
And now with those season tickets, you were at the game last weekend, right?
Yes. So actually, it wasn't my normal season ticket seat, but having paid for season tickets during the pandemic and in 2020, that allowed me the opportunity to be not given special treatment, which I think was very smart of DC United and the front office, but I was put into a lottery and able to use the credit, the money that I had been paying last year to purchase or get seats for this past game, which the first round that they did, I actually was not selected. And it was a day after. I was texting my season ticket rep, like, are you sure? Don't you love me? It was actually a day after that the mayor opened the seating capacity for Audi Field from, I believe at that point, it was 10% to 25%. So we ended up being able to more than double the amount of people that were there, which was really, really nice. And the atmosphere was still kind of quiet, but I was just so glad to see live soccer.
Yeah, that's how it is for us here. I mean, again, we're in New York and things are now finally starting to open up again. And they're starting to talk and hint at having 100% capacity going into next year and like next season, maybe even the playoffs to see what happens. But just even watching the games on TV, it's so nice seeing the atmosphere again and just seeing fans back in the stands. I mean, it's definitely something we missed. You definitely missed, and just the players in general. I mean, they miss it too. I mean, look at this opening weekend. I think it was almost every team, the home crowd won, right?
Every team except I think one team, Sporting Kansas City versus Red.
Oh, they broke the cycle. See, I didn't know that. But
I was going to say, wow, are you joking?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like it blew my mind.
Yeah, I know DC
I didn't realize that until after.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about home field advantage.
I never believed in it, but now I think I believe in it.
Yeah, that was me too. Yeah.
Yeah, so after seeing the team in person last weekend, what's like some strengths and weaknesses would you say in this lineup that you see for this upcoming season?
I am so heartened by our new coach, Hernan Losada, and his approach, which is attack, attack, attack. And that's exactly what you saw in the game. Now, the problem was we went down early 1-0, and I believe maybe the 20th minute or so because
like
we were
right away.
attacking. Yeah, it was because we weren't getting back soon enough. And I noticed this, especially with Yamil Assad, I would probably say is the worst offender when it comes to that particular mentality, because he goes in a couple steps too much and then the backtracking. I mean, if you have a player that's cutting across you pretty quickly and moving the ball down the field, and you went in way too hard for that tackle or to defend when you're pressing that high, you're done. You're not going to get to it. And that's, I've noticed that there are some players in our lineup, Yamil Assad especially, to call him out, I guess, that are going to have a hard time adjusting to that. But it is such a stark contrast from the Ben Olsen era, which is ease into the game. Let us figure out what our second half strategy is going to be. We'll react to what we did or didn't do in the first half. And I mean, I have just grown so accustomed to all of our goals being from set pieces, penalty kicks, accidents, and mistakes from the other team. But this past game was so nice to watch us actually build momentum and execute a play that it looks like they definitely practiced.
See, that was the thing with us as a New York City fan. If you were down there as a New York City fan, you guys seem more guided, like you were saying, and actually have a plan to, exercise and get done with. We recently traded our captain in the offseason to Austin Alexander Ring. And that's the thing with us. Again, we came out hot, but after that, we just seemed very misguided. And I think that's why DC took the game with like ease, it almost seemed like, because there was no sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess production or just, again, any guidance on that team at all. They just seemed very lost, and it was almost flowing too freely for New York City.
Well, yeah, as NYCFC fans, we were on the other end of things, getting those 2 goals scored us, and those goals were beautiful. And you saw that in person too, right? Those 2 goals. Those were insane.
I screamed like a crazy person.
Yeah, we screamed too. We just, different way.
Wrong end of that. So obviously got to see the game in person last weekend. What are some players that you're looking forward to this season that are going to make an impact with the squad?
Especially after watching the first game and seeing the goal that Brendan Hines-Ike scored, I would say he's definitely at the top of my list of guys to pay attention to. But I can't, to use the phrase I am only thinking of in this moment, I can't sleep on the other players that we've had in our lineup that just haven't been utilized to the best of their ability. And that's Julian Gressel, who played a big part in the game on Saturday, and I think will be a much more enjoyable player to watch with DC United this year. But also Paul Arriola, who is unfortunately nursing the injury that he sustained during his quick loan to Swansea. When he comes back, he'll definitely be a guy that we'll have in our starting lineup. The last guy that I'll mention, Nehar, who used to be an academy player for DC United and left when and played in the Belgian league for a good long while, and is finally back with DC United. I think for the nerds out there who really like paying attention to even the unsexy parts of MLS, the academy system has kind of a rule about discovery rights, and it has geographic boundaries for who you can recruit in your area. And a lot of our better players, whether people really know this or not, a lot of their families will up and move to places closer to Philadelphia because their academy is better. And I've noticed that we've had some great academy products: Donovan Pines, Moses Nyman, Kevin Paredes, Griffin Yao, all of these children who I think will also absolutely crush this year. We have had a lot of good talent, unfortunately, slip between our fingers, and having him back was really exciting for a lot of people who pay attention to the academy. So I am very much looking forward to the younger guys as well, and I'm glad to have Nehar back. So I actually think a lot of people have had not the nicest things to say about DC United ahead of the season, but I hope that
We're
this
included
game
with that.
Well, I mean, I've always liked I've always liked Gressel, but
Oh,
but
yeah.
not the biggest DC guy.
Well, that's easy to say. Like, oh, I've always liked a player who started and dominated on another team before he got to DC United. I don't think he's proven himself much with our team, which is unfortunate given how much that we paid for him and how much was expected of him. But I do see that changing this season.
I mean, they're definitely looking like a good team. I mean, after that first game, and like you said, they just seemed so much more guided in comparison to us as well. Now that's the thing. You don't know if they're really that good or we just played that bad.
Exactly.
No, but joking aside, I guess you were saying there were so many great moves made by your team, and just the academy alone and who they have on that roster right now is just a good team overall. And I think in time they will start getting more, more credibility, and more look and love from the team and just the fans of the league in general. But now that brings me to another question, which was, overall, how happy were you with the signings that the team made? DC United brought on some new faces. What do you think about that? And, coming into the summer and everything, I know we're still a little bit away, but there's going to be the next window opening up, and there's going to be more opportunity for signings to be made. Is there any other signings you would like to see as well?
I was pretty optimistic with the signings that were made. They all seemed to come from the same general region that our coach is from. And based on what I've heard people say about him and things that he says about his own philosophy, I have been very eager and cautiously optimistic, I should say, about the approach that he has and what we plan to produce on the field. I do think, especially having watched the game on Saturday, the defense is something that we'll want to take care of. Donovan Pines, an academy player and guy who played for the University of Maryland, is great in the defense, but still has a little bit of growing up to do. And then Steven Birnbaum, who's, I want to say, other than Bill Hamid, one of the longest playing guys on our team right now, is unfortunately out with an injury. So we are hoping to do with what we can with what we have until the transfer window, which is soon, by the way. But in the summer, I'm hoping for a little bit more on the defensive side, so that when we're not tracking back like we should, we still have someone to save our rear ends.
And that just brings me into, unless you have something to add to that.
No, I think, yeah.
Do you think the team will make the playoffs this season? There's a lot of competition around going into the playoffs. Can you see them actually pulling through and making it deep?
Oh, sure. Oh, making it deep? That's a whole other thing.
I know, two questions, yeah.
I was like, we'll make the playoffs. We'll make it. We'll be fine. Will we go far? I do not know. And that's every single year that I have done between clean sheets, by the way. I have tried to decide, do I make predictions? Do I give any sort of preview of what I think the season is going to be like? Do I have any idea of how things are going to go? And I don't. And I don't.
It's tough,
I never know. Right. Because there's so much about this league that is, I would call it beautiful chaos, because things that you thought you could really bet on end up never coming to fruition, or going completely wrong, or things that you thought were terrible go completely right. And that, I think, with what I've seen so far, and with the conversation that people are having about this new program of ours, I guess you could say, and with the way that I've heard our own players talk about Losada, our new coach, I think we'll definitely make the playoffs. So
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can finish. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, so you can write that down. Everything else, I really don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, we can both say it as an NYCFC, fans, since coming into the league during the regular season, have always done great. I mean, this season, who knows what's going to happen, but during the regular season, they've always done really well. And if, like you said, you're never really too sure where to put all your money on, what to bet on and what to expect, and making predictions, especially for your own team, is such a hard thing to do because you're so biased and you're so hopeful, you know what I mean? But that's the thing for us. Every time we make it into the playoffs, NYCFC just falls apart.
We do. We always.
And that's why this season, it's like, if we do even make the playoffs, I'll just be pleasantly surprised. Me as well. I'm not expecting a lot, but that's the thing. Great memories, and for NYCFC, a lot of bad memories. A lot of bad memories with them. We've only been in the league for about 6 years. As a DC United fan and supporter, like you said, you've been supporting them for a long time. Do you have a favorite memory with DC United? A favorite kind of moment, or just a memory at all with the team?
You know, a lot of my off the field memories are at season ticket member events, times that I've shared. It's amazing to me. My brother and his wife have been season ticket holders with Atlanta United, and then I've been a part of an MLS Fantasy League for a number of years with guys all across the country. And everybody's has experiences where their season ticket member events are just so widely attended and such a big deal. And I mean, I remember times where I've shown up and it's been me and Bill Hamid and like 15 other people. And that is something I really miss, to be honest, especially once Wayne Rooney came around and all of that entire process kind of formalized and the access just wasn't really there anymore. But the off the field experiences that I enjoy the most are definitely those one-on-one conversations with Ben Olsen or with Bill Hamid or Chris Pontius. The access for me as a content creator, being able to reach out to their comms team and just saying, can I talk to Steve Birnbaum for 45 minutes? And them honestly having no issue with it. But the on the field experience, I would have to say, it isn't one particular thing. It is the routine I had of leaving my house at about 4 or 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, walking down to RFK, hanging out in lot 8, basically being able to pregame and tailgate in a massive empty parking lot, and then walking with the fans in. And as a season ticket member, you get access to this area called the Champions Club. And it was the dingiest, most underwhelming, crumbling space in the entire stadium. But I loved it because it was my first season ticket member experience. And so it felt like, as big as MLS has grown, and especially for a team like New York City, I mean, you guys had just stars from day one, year after year after year.
Fast though. Fizzled out really fast, right?
Yeah, but people came. I know people came to see them, and for DC, I know people make fun of the gatekeeping in soccer, and that's for me that kind of it seems like it would be that, but it isn't at all. It was that I could go and have an experience to myself, and kind of take it all in at the speed that I wanted to. And I remember those experiences when I go to Audi. I remember those experiences when I travel to other teams. I mean, the first Atlanta United game I went to, oh my gosh, I thought I was at the freaking Super Bowl.
It's crazy.
Was that a Mercedes? Was that a Mercedes-Benz that you went to, or when they had a Bobby Dodd?
I did Bobby Dodd, and that was incredible too, because for the entire 2 hours that the game was being played, nobody sat down. Not a single person in the entire stadium sat down, which was really awesome. But when I went to Mercedes-Benz for the first time, and I'm glad you had me specify that, it was so loud. There was so much going on. Freaking Ty Pennington from TLC was running around with a camera crew, and they were bringing the spike down, like celebrities galore. I remember one game I went to, Ron Howard was the one who hit the spike. I'm like, freaking Ron Howard, Andy Griffith show, like famous director, is just walking on down like, all right, guys, what do I do? And it's like, spike. That just feels so big, and DC is getting there. But I just loved it when it was small, and I didn't feel so overwhelmed by it. It just felt like it was my hometown team.
Because when it's small, it's more personal, like more intimate, again, to connect more with the fans and the players themselves. So I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that kind of transitions to our next question here, where you like the Mercedes-Benz game. Is there any other games in particular that really stand out to you that you went to in person? Any favorite games?
I've been to, I want to say, about half of all MLS stadiums now. And I have had the conversation often of what was my favorite stadium based on atmosphere, experience, etc. But I will say particular games or times where I've had the most fun, and I ended up making a video about this a couple months ago. I thought for sure Chris Wondolowski was going to retire at the end of 2019. And
yeah, we think he's going to retire every season.
I'm convinced now he's just going to keep saying. So he definitely says he's out at the end of 2021. I'll believe it when I see it. But I remember in 2019, I saw him break his record, the goal scoring record, beat Landon Donovan for all-time goals in the MLS. And we were playing, we weren't playing DC, or DC wasn't playing San Jose, excuse me. I think it just so happened to be June 8th. 8 is Chris Wondolowski's number. They were playing FC Dallas, and I had no business going to San Jose, but I straight up booked a flight because that day that they had planned on doing a ceremony pregame event and honoring of Chris Wondolowski, and it's so dumb. For my brain was like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and I really enjoyed it, and I had such a great time because basically the whole game was dedicated to him, which I absolutely loved. But to the point I made earlier about things being really small and intimate and kind of my own, watching it when I finally flew out there. And by the way, I went by myself.
Yeah, that's cool. I could never.
Yeah. Oh, I do a lot of things by myself, especially soccer related, but it's so funny. They gave him a big frame with a jersey. They gave him a few other things to commemorate all the goals he scored. And it straight up reminded me of like senior night at high school or in college, when they're like, they let you bring your parents escort you out onto the field. And I thought, oh my gosh, I straight up flew all the way across the country to come see Chris Wondolowski, like shake a hand.
Now, we saw that you actually made a Wondolowski video. Was that after the game or before the game?
That was after. That was during the MLS's back tournament, because there were conversations floating around about whether or not he was going to make 2020 his last season. And so it was basically a plea to him to say, stick around because 2020 doesn't count. It did count. It counted for every season, or every statistic for the season rather. And all the goals he scored to add to his record do matter. But I just wanted him to have a full season to separate himself from
exactly
like Joseph Martinez, Carlos Vela, anyone who might come after and get close to that record. I just wanted to give him a chance to separate himself. And he ended up actually reaching out after that. He retweeted the link to the video. He reached out and said, thank you so much, that it was so kind of me. I told him that I wanted to get an interview with him at some point. I'm actually going to San Jose next weekend when we play the
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah. Like really.
San Jose is the only West Coast team, Western Conference team that we're playing this year, which is, I get it, but I'm annoyed that they have to schedule things that way. But I'm trying to take advantage of the opportunity. So I'm going to be going out there next weekend.
That's awesome to hear, definitely. And yeah, I like to, like you said, like when we verse other squads in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, change it up a little bit, because versing the Red Bulls, it's fun, but when you verse them 5 times a season, then it kind of
it's too much, it definitely kills it.
Exactly.
Especially when you're not always winning the games, after a while. For certain teams, it's great because it's just like a win after a win, but other times it just really drags. And you also want the change, you want to see some new teams, you want to hear some different player names,
you talked about Wondolowski before. If you could sign any player for DC United, would it be him or somebody else? A dream signing?
I mean, I love Wando. I would take him over here. Despite his age, I would take him in a heartbeat.
So when you say dream signing, is this current Major League Soccer player, current player?
We could do all time. All time.
All time. Wow.
You could choose Pele even if you want to.
Oh, so not just in the MLS.
Yeah, we could do all time throughout history. Who's it gonna be?
I would rewrite history, and I would put David Beckham in DC instead of LA Galaxy.
And that works too, because he was, like you said, LA Galaxy, he was in the MLS too. Yeah.
Right. I think that the first of all, the obsession with Los Angeles is so overrated.
I agree.
And
Yeah, that was the first thing. Well, real quick, I just have to take a second here. I agree with that so much. Like 200%. Like, continue now. I was just so happy for somebody finally said that.
Now, are you guys both from New York? Because if so, that statement totally checks out.
Yeah,
we're
both
from Long Island.
Yeah, we're not in the city.
Okay.
We're like 45 minutes from it. We're on
Oh no,
Island.
Long Island counts. Long Island counts. I think I love the online. I love the online battle between, especially from like an influencer and content creator standpoint, between New York and LA.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's so nice, and even Wayne Rooney talked about this in DC, that there is so much anonymity and so much peace and calm, even with the press that we were giving him in coming to America, because people are not hounding you. Paparazzi are not hounding you like they are over there. And David Beckham still did get a red carpet rollout for his time with LA Galaxy. And I know why people like LA. I don't think DC is the sexiest place.
I was there. I like DC, you know.
You liked it, but like,
yeah,
the East Coast is best coast.
Exactly, East Coast, Beast Coast,
right,
for sure.
Right. Well, I think that if you gave some team and some region other than Southern California an opportunity to host a talent like that, and you, like I said, rewrote history where you put David Beckham on the East Coast, I think it would have created NYCFC sooner. I think it would have created a different personality for the Eastern Conference. Because right now, I think, especially before Atlanta, before New York City, I think we kind of felt a little stale during that period of time. And especially for DC after 2005, we didn't have much going on over here in terms of silverware or great signings or anything. And we have kind of had been crumbling at RFK for a number of years. You know, the one thing I'll say about that, and then I will let us move on. RFK is unfortunately officially condemned, which means nobody can go inside of it. And I remember meeting with a bunch of people who create content for DC fan created content, meeting with the front office about 2 years ago. And I was patiently listening to everyone's ideas, what people had in mind, what they wanted from the front office. And at the end of the meeting, I just said, can someone get me into RFK? Like, I want to take a photo shoot there and like do some cool influencer style content. And they straight up said no. They said it's officially condemned. We're not even allowed in. And I thought, really? Like, yeah, don't stop asking us that question.
And was there like a raccoon problem there, or was that just like an urban legend, or was it actually true? Like
real.
That was
and
real. Oh
yeah,
my God.
if you Google it, it's the cutest freaking photo. As gross as raccoons are, it's just a raccoon with its head popped up behind a seat.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
probably the last question, moving on here. I just have one more question just to end it off. It's more of just like I guess an opinion based question, not really anything to do with the teams, but more just with the league. Again, it's just a opinion for you two and both of you. Going to the season and maybe just of all time in Major League Soccer, do you have a favorite kit? What do you think of DC United's kit that they showed off for this season right now, and they're going to be wrapping each game? And just that.
Man, Paul, do you want to answer that first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I have three that I really enjoy. First, NYCFC. Obviously, I got to go with them. And also LA Galaxy are pretty nice too. You know, it's kind of retro. It has the green and the black. I really enjoy that. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Phillies are like the electricity bolts, the yellow and the blue.
Yeah, that's one of mine too.
So that's definitely my top three. And then with DC, I like it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna put it like number 10. DC.
See, I really
you
like
don't
Austin's.
have to spare my feelings. Oh, Austin is great. Yeah,
I love Austin's. I like the jersey sponsors so much. The Yeti, I think that looks awesome. Yeah. I think they did a great job. And like you said, LA Galaxy is just the blast from the past. I mean, Nike did it in the 90s. And now Adidas is doing it, and I think it looks so good. But again, NYCFC, that powder blue, the logo's engraved. It looks so nice. It just pops on the field. But probably going into the season, those would be my top three.
Me as well.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, I think that it's tough. Whenever people have conversations about jerseys, kits, etc., I really like things that are understated. For example, I think 2002, 2003 era Chelsea kit I'm wearing right now is something I could wear to the golf course. And so it's not the most exciting pattern, but I really like that it's something I can wear out and people still recognize the logo, the crest. So when I'm looking at kits for this year, I absolutely agree with all of your takes, and I would add Seattle Sounders Hendricks kit to that list.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. See,
that
one got mixed reviews.
That one
I thought it looked awesome.
That one
looked so good.
That one I'm a little bit torn with, but
see, I thought that one looked really good. A lot of people were torn with it. I mean, that one I think was like a clear 50-50.
Why? Yeah, why were you torn?
In my opinion, it feels like a little bit too much with the purple. Then you're gonna add the orange and like the neon badge. It's like a little bit too much. I think it's like a stimulation overload, dude. Okay.
Do you want to know what that's called? Do you want to know what fashion calls that? They call it power clashing.
Well, I'm a big fan of power clashing. Then, I mean, that's
apparently not.
Right. That's the problem is though, if you wear that, that's the outfit. From a female perspective, that is the freaking outfit. You're not adding colorful pants to that. Honestly, you should just buy it in an XXL and wear it as a dress.
Wear it as a dress. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the jerseys that could be, sorry to interrupt you, but could kind of go with what you're saying, like a very casual wear is the Colorado Rapids. They have that mint green one they're wearing this season. And that kind of fits like what you're saying, how you can kind of just wear it anywhere because it's just like, it's a nice color. It's pretty bland. And plus it has the crest, same with the almost, who was it? LAFC's, the flex one. I mean, it's like a beige one they have. And I think that one really kind of goes with what you're saying too. Because I hear what you're saying. I mean, even for a guy, I mean, if you're wearing something that's, I got the purple, you got the orange going everywhere, it kind of, people are going to notice that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not flying under the radar.
No, you're fine. I think that's why I like DC United's kit a little bit more. Whereas most people just said, oh, it's the same boring white kit, just add a little bit of blue, I believe is the marble color. But I honestly, I have a personality. I don't need to wear a loud kit to have a personality. I'm just kidding. No, I feel like it really depends on what you want it for. For men, they want more out of their kit. What I've noticed for women is I want a little bit less because it is one piece of a larger outfit. And that's for me personally. Now, if I'm looking at them on a wall, behind a frame, on the men that I'm watching on the field, the old school Sporting Kansas City, when they were the Wizards, that rainbow and black kit was so awesome. And that was, I believe, right around the time the LA Galaxy had the OG design that they're wearing right now as their kit,
and that's when Nike was rolling everything, and Nike was just killing the game with those. I mean, I feel like every jersey they put out was just a smash.
Like Adidas, I'm actually wearing the shoes right now, but I got to give it to my boy Nike.
For
sure. Take them off. No, Nike's killing it. I think it's tough because there's two sides of the coin. I think because of how little money it seems like we're willing to spend on a partnership like that, Adidas is like, fine, we'll give you the cookie cutter. And yet you've got the USL and the NWSL who have limited resources to use just like we do. And I mean, look at some of their kits. The NWSL has some awesome kits this year. So I think the excuse that we've had is no longer an excuse. So I'm ready for that contract to expire, the one we have with Adidas.
I think that's a good take to have on that, 100%.
Yeah, me as well.
And I guess with that, unless there's something you want to add, or if there's another thing you want to bring up, that's all I have.
Yeah, me too. Do you have any opinions, thoughts, anything like that to conclude this interview?
No, I don't. I'm just excited that we got to have a conversation. I think
me too.
This is the start of what's going to be a long season for sure. So anything that I say here, don't hold me to it.
Yeah, I mean, we had nothing really good to say about NYCFC, so I mean, it goes the same way.
Yeah, maybe we should have done this before the game. You guys would have been a lot more optimistic on Saturday.
We were pretty optimistic.
I was feeling really good that first goal. That was really hyped.
If we had filmed this right after the game, oh man, I would have been so obnoxiously smug. You have no idea. So maybe it's
still
good
at
we
the
waited
field.
I'm a sore loser. I probably would have been smug too. It took like 24 hours to finally hit me.
I went to the casino after that. I'm like, I'm flying high. I feel lucky.
Really, right? I mean,
I'm feeling lucky tonight,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt lucky since.
lost money. So it lasted for 2 hours and then
Hi, we're off.
Yeah, again, thank you for coming
so much
on.
for
It was a
having
pleasure.
me.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And I guess with
Of
that,
course.
we'll wrap it up here. Once again, this has been Cheyenne from Between Clean Sheets, and looking forward to doing it again. And good luck to the DC United this upcoming season.
Thank you.
Okay, so good news is we were able to get that interview out.
Yes, we were.
And once again, we're still trying to get the Andres Jasson interview up, our NYCFC Homegrown. He was great to have, and we weren't able to have him up on this show. First episode of MLS Cafe in the first half.
We could try
but
it
we
one
think
more
we
time.
may have fixed it. So for one more time, we're going to try the interview that we have pre-recorded with New York City's football club's own homegrown soil, Andres Jasson.
And again, if it doesn't work, this will be a separate video on the channel
Yes.
just of this interview itself, because it was a very good interview. So let's see if it works right now. Again, put it in the chat if it does.
Yes, please do. Thank you very much. Here we go. Andres Jasson.
MLS Fantasy.
Okay,
All right,
so
yeah.
we saw it wasn't working. Again, we're definitely going to post it on the channel itself. I don't know
Yeah.
why it's not either, because it's the same exact
The other interview
thing.
worked fine, but again, this is going to be posted as its own video. Once again, first episode, there is a couple kinks in the road as we using a lot of different programs. There's a lot of content here, so our interview with Andres Jasson will be posted separately. Until then, let's end this off by talking about what happened this week in the MLS Fantasy.
Well, I feel like we got to start with you, dude. You had one of the worst weeks I ever saw in my life.
My entire roster was either injured or out. For some stupid reason, I had Ike Opara in knowing he was injured. And I was just like, oh, I got to take him out. I got to take him out. And they never did. Aside from that, everybody on my team just seemed to be injured. Everybody from Pozuelo, Velo was subbed out. Rossi was not playing. Ladero was out. I mean, my entire team just completely fell apart at the seams.
And again, dude, you didn't update it for this week.
I
So
know, because I was going to do it yesterday, but I didn't realize there was games going on last night. And then next thing I know, now I'm down 2 weeks in a row.
it's not looking too good, dude. 39th, what
It's
are you
not,
right
man.
now? 39th place, bro? Let's go all the way up. Where's Water Boys Incorporated? 22nd place, dude.
Yeah.
That's 20 places above. And
mean,
again,
we're
we will be
struggling
getting
hard.
a trophy very shortly for this segment for the Bench Kings Cup. Again, 50 teams are in it, and only one team can win.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. And with that, I think that kind of sums up the first MLS Cafe. Again, we will be getting the interview on a separate video. So
You can keep talking. I'm just checking some. Okay, just make sure that's working.
yeah, definitely look forward to that because,
Yes.
again, I don't really know why it's not working. It should be working right now. I'm going to have to sort that out, but we hope you guys like the first episode of MLS Cafe.
Yeah, again, sorry for that one interview not coming through, but we hope you enjoyed the interview with Cheyenne from Between Clean Sheets.
Exactly.
And Andres Jasson, that will be posted separately.
Yes, sir.